Hello everyone, Ohio gozaimasu. Welcome to Ohio Anime. Irashaimase. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is John, and we're gonna be talking anime today. And let's get right away. Andrea in here. How's it going?
Hey, how are ya?
Whoa, you're quiet. Hold on.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it's you or me. You tell me.
I mean, you're sounding better right now. There. This is sort of like restream here is. I've
Mhm.
kind of let it does it, and so I'm beholden to
What it
whether
is.
it's going to be good or not. After
Mhm.
the fact, when this goes up to podcast services, then with this, I do usually like try to even out the audio. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully that
I'll just talk
works.
about this to make
That'd be less than preferable.
it. Just
um,
editing, like, oh, Andrea, you dick.
yeah, I don't do a whole lot, but I'm sensitive to it because I listen to podcasts in the tractor and loud environments.
Mhm.
And so,
Sure.
you know, I think our regular podcast is probably audio balanced a little more appropriately for like
Mhm.
good sounding vocals and everything. When we do this one or anything that I just do, it's flatter. So it's like should be more audible in whatever environments, even if our voices aren't as dynamic. So
Sure.
yeah. Anyways, it's a Sunday night and Sunday morning in Japan. So that's how we get away with this name around here, Ohio Anime. But we're gonna talk about Kaiju number 8. Um, we're hoping to have Phil here, but he's a busy man, and then he's got internet problems on top of it. So,
Right. Right. Speaking of issues, we're going through our audio issues. He's got internet issues.
yeah,
It's like back in
yeah,
the early days of our podcast, when we were just like technical difficulties. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. That did happen quite a bit, didn't it? Hmm.
Yeah, I think we definitely don't miss those days, and maybe take a little for granted now. Kind of that everything works when we want to stream
Yeah.
now. So
Yep. Yep.
much appreciated.
Yes,
Thanks for the
indeed.
reminder.
Um. Okay. Well, before we get into Kaiju number 8, we'll just see if there's anything else that you've been watching. Say what I've been watching, and just remind everyone out there we're live on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. Hopefully soon back on X to get that figured out. We're live in those 3 places, so subscribe anywhere you'd like. Um, yeah, Podcast on the Rocks is the main channel for if you just do podcasts. Everything goes there. So that's that. Andrea, anime. What else have you been watching? Anything much?
Yeah, actually, two things. So I mean, obviously, I finished Kaiju number 8, which we'll talk about, but I also am working my way back through Solo Leveling. I remembered I dropped off of there and kind of forgot um, that I wasn't finishing. I watched, I think, the first 5 or 6 episodes, and so now I'm catching back up on that, which I really love. And then also, I did watch the first episode of Freerun,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm, I am, I am getting there. Like, I got over
Yeah.
like the first episode hump of like just started, for goodness
Right.
sake. So,
Yeah.
oh, and then I finished Delicious in Dungeon. I forgot.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, multiple
Yeah.
things.
I I'm ready to talk about free rent, but it's going to be a minute before you get done with that. I realize. So
Yeah,
because it's a full season.
yeah,
So hopefully I can get done with Delicious in Dungeon before too long because I think I'm just over halfway in that.
yeah,
'Cause-
yeah.
So
And I mean, the back half really does sail along, because it does really get to like a point of like, okay, this is where all of this kind of cutesy stuff has been headed. So
right. Yep. Yeah, we dipped our toe back in last week. See, watched episode 11 and 12, and it. I just say I really did miss the animation style that they used in this.
Yeah.
It is a unique show, so
Mhm.
I'm happy to be back in it. Um, what do you think of the first episode of Free Run? Then I know it's only episode one, but you get the premise.
Yeah, I really liked it. I like the like post journey, post hero questy feel. I mean, so many shows that are kind of set in this like medieval fantasy style, or there's magic users, kind of whatever you want to name what's happening right now, which is a real trend. Focus on obviously like some sort of like group coalescing around a journey, and this is like post that, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to tell a friend about it, saying it's kind of like the Fellowship of the Ring, but what happens after, you know?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah. It's like
you'd
it's like yeah, no, it's like getting to, Sam being like, "Well, I'm back."
yeah,
But then the credits don't hit. It's like, "Okay, well, what are you gonna do?"
yeah. What's Legolas gonna do? Because he's gonna be around for a
Right.
while, you know. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, I think I've told people that show is the word I use for it is like meditative. It's just it
Mhm.
takes its time. It's
Mhm.
beautiful. Has the same composer that does the music for Violet Evergarden,
Oh, yeah.
and so music is on point. Art and animation is on point. It knows when
Mhm.
to be dramatic, and it just has like touching moments or whatever. And
Mhm.
I don't think you'll expect where it goes. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I remember talking to you early on and saying it was like just like the promo shot and like the cover of it were very like reminiscent of Violet Evergarden. So I like that
Right.
it's also music
Yeah.
because I love that.
Yeah, we have more of that to watch, I think. I don't know what they're all it's all
Yes.
kind of confusing what is, you know, it gets think of doing this before the internet. We're trying to figure out, okay, there's this series and then they made an OVA of the series. Do I need to watch one or both or which one? And
No.
it's a lot. So, and then things, don't do like season 1, season 2 sometimes. It's just like a name. So you gotta look up chronologically when it came out.
Right. Or like
But
Crunchyroll does that like season 0 when they do a movie. And I'm like,
mhm.
don't do that. Please don't do that. Just call it the movie, please. Like
Yeah.
I don't need a season 0.
Mhm. Well, that's a good number of things. I've continue on with My Happy Marriage. I'm having not that.
Oh, you're watching that. I started that.
Oh, the
I
the
think I
anime.
got
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I think I got like
Okay.
4 episodes in. That's another one I should go back to.
Okay. Yeah. We watched episodes 9 and 10, so we have I think 2 episodes left.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I won't being you've started it. I won't say too much on it. Just that I'm enjoying it. Though I have it's like any kind of romance story thing. They have to create drama. I don't like it. It's like
Mhm.
let's
Yeah.
be happy and make the choices I would make. 'Cause,
Yes.
uh, but I think it's well done. So, and then I did try VTuber Legend. I
Okay.
saw a
I
clip of it going around
don't
online or something,
see
and
that.
basically the premise is you have this VTuber that's signed a contract with whatever studio or
Mhm.
talent agency in Japan, and they think they're done for the evening and sign off and start pounding back beers and stuff, but they accidentally left their stream going, and so all their followers saw kind of the real them or their kind of real attitude. And what? Yeah. So I
So is
thought that
it
was
like
an
an
interesting.
image rehabilitation kind of thing?
What's that?
Is it like an image rehabilitation kind of thing or like
So
don't know
it's
yet?
well, no. So surprisingly, a lot of the people accepted it. They were thought it was interesting
Okay.
that this was the case, and they were shocked. But the talent agency was kind of like, when we hired you, we wondered when this would go. The real you would come out when you go south. They kind of like saw that and were anticipating it, I guess.
Okay.
So she's like, well, I guess I'm sort of going to embrace it and see what happens then. Um, so I thought that was an interesting premise, but it
Yeah.
seems like it's made for a younger generation than me.
Sure.
It's it's weird. I mean, and I've seen a lot of weird stuff, but it's just I think maybe if you're really into VTuber culture, if you're into that
Mhm.
space and you participate and have a bunch you follow and all this, it might be like this is speaking to me kind of thing.
Mhm.
It might be that. I'm not that. So it's like
Sure.
over my head. I don't know
Sure.
what zaniness is happening right now here. So
Sure.
wasn't
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
for me.
interesting that you like it's interesting that you called it weird because it's like on the surface it doesn't sound all that weird or it doesn't sound like an odd premise, but I could
Yeah.
get how it could just be off-putting if you're not
Well,
like in
sh-
that culture. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Or
they
like
go.
things just be like not resonate with you.
Yeah. I mean, if you're super bored, sometime try it and see if you can get the gist of what I'm saying. Like if you
Okay.
feel the same way about it. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, it just feels not made for me, which
Sure.
is which is fine. Yeah, that's about what it's been here. Um, okay, there was one news story I was going to bring up. I think that was kind of relevant, but I didn't put it in
Are
the
you sure you're not
notes.
thinking of the
So
regular podcast?
no, I did put that in there. No, this was something that was like kind of anime adjacent, I guess. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, I did put a news story in the regular podcast. Tease for everybody.
Yes,
That
that's right.
relates to the show topic. To that
Yes.
show.
I mean, it does technically.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's concerning an animated series, so
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Let's talk about Kaiju number 8. So, had you had any sort of familiarity with this manga or that the show was coming or anything like that?
no, none. I mean, I saw it advertised literally everywhere.
Hmm.
I know they'd sunk a lot into like an ad campaign because I just kept seeing it on Crunchyroll and even on like regular like my Hulu ads that would pop up. It was coming
Hmm.
up. Um, and I mean, I guess I would say I'm like 60/40 on, watching anime on Hulu. So, I mean, it makes
Okay.
sense. But yeah, so and then Phil had talked about it as well. So I was just like, oh, like the show looks cool. So yeah, I'd love to get into it. I kind of when I first saw it was out, I had a little bit of that reaction where I was like, oh, this is gonna be super popular. I hate like sometimes I get like off put about something being super popular and wanting to watch it, and then I stubbornly don't.
Yeah.
So I kind of had that feeling right before starting it. I was like, oh, I don't really know if I want to. And then like both you and Phil were talking about it. I was like, all right, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, from the minute I hit play, I was sucked into the first season. It was excellent.
I don't usually do the popularity thing, but I do go into my head like it's pretty silly. It's like I think all of a sudden, you know how many millions of men like wish they were Batman? Like all of them, you know. So it's like it's not a unique thing. You like Batman, or something.
Sure.
Like this is
Yeah.
like the most popular, or whatever the thing might be. It's like this is very
Yeah.
common, and yeah. Um, Sometimes, I mean, I just use the popularity thing as a gauge to like, should I bother? And
Yeah.
that's because there is too much these days. I wish I would have started on free rent earlier. It
Sure.
just didn't immediately draw me in, and I was thinking,
Mhm.
well, it's another fantasy kind of thing. It's very
There's a
common right
lot.
now,
Hmm.
and starting it deviates from a lot of those quickly, like it separates itself. But
Yes. Which
just
is
on
which I
first
think
images,
is yeah, no, I think it's very smart to like separate it and make it very clear very soon, because
Yeah.
you're right, that is like very popular right now. So it could just be like, oh my god, this is another one.
Yep.
But by having it be very clear that they're at the journey's end, or the traditional journey's end at that point, yeah, it's smart.
Yep. So with Kaiju, I had seen the manga in Targets and stuff and Walmart and whatever.
Oh, sure.
And so to me, then that's sort of a indicator. Okay, this is people are reading this. This is popular. People are
Mhm.
into this. And
Right.
so I had seen that for quite a while, but I'm not a kaiju person. I really don't. Like,
Mhm.
if I'm going to care about giant monsters, it's got to be something else. I'm not going to
Mhm.
be drawn in by that, and so I just never gave it a
Sure.
shot because of it. And it's a shonen, so which feels like it's a dime a dozen. It's what I watch all the time, so I just don't need another one. But it was kind of being made a big deal of,
Mhm.
and like you say, they were, marketing it around all around and stuff. So gave it a shot, and I was
Mhm.
surprised.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Let's
Yeah,
get some.
I think Kaiju number 8, to like tie it into what we were just talking about, I think like Freerun, it does something right away where it sets itself up to be a little bit different. Um, there are a lot of comics about like monster hunters out there, or like,
Mhm.
groups that are tasked with defeating beings that come through a portal, or, some sort of gate. Usually we're kind of looking at the heroes or like anti-heroes making a journey, or like there's a lot of like, I'm super weak and now I'm like the strongest hunter. This opens so differently, where like our hero is on like a monster cleanup crew,
Yeah.
which is something that like never occurred to my brain in watching all of these, but is like so logical and grounded in like a realistic society, that I found myself like so drawn in, because it's like, oh my god, of course, like people have to have these jobs, like,
Yeah.
so it's, again, it's such a different angle than it's a take on what's popular, but it's a different angle and it's very different right away. So I like
Yep.
that. That's how Kaiju number 8 opens.
Yep.
I think it's very smart.
I agree. Yeah, it is different, and then we it keeps changing because
Mhm.
normally our protagonist isn't one of the kaiju, isn't one of the things
Right.
being hunted. So, um,
Right.
and as it comes to the end of season one, we still really don't know how, what what the hell's the deal, you know? A little
Mhm.
thing jumps down his throat and therefore super powerful kaiju,
Right.
what the hell's that? So,
Right. Yeah, no, and as we come to the end of the season, I mean, it's very like, what kind of relationship is this and who's driving, and like, is this now like a symbiotic relationship? Is this like, Kaiju is waiting like dormant all this time and sort of like letting Kafka think he has the reins on
yeah.
this before being like, haha. Or, really, is it going to be an internal struggle? Has Kafka kind of like beaten back the kaiju and like taken control? Like, yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, and I think
Yeah.
that the show is going to keep us guessing.
Yeah, because it was, you know, it's scary to watch. It's like, oh crap, he's not in control. That's going to be bad. But you have to think there's a purpose to these, I don't know, infecting kaiju, like jumping down people's throats. If this is how other humanoid kaiju have been made as well, and it becomes
Right.
like a the fly or maybe a vampiric thing, it like slowly gets in further and
Right.
digs its hooks in and takes over eventually, even if it's not immediate.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know about like the more humanoid kaiju, and the more like, reasoning sentient kaiju, um that it's like, is there a purpose to this, or are they just like playing an odds game of like, well, we're just going to infect a bunch of people. Hopefully, the ones we infect are, predisposed to being like bad guys or being evil, or like are going to be like, oh, I'm just going to revel in the power and, kind of turn myself over completely to my parasite kaiju.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and Kafka's just kind of like hey, like, nope, I'm actually a good guy. So I'm your one in 100 that got infected. That's, a cool dude.
Yep.
Um, it's, I mean, definitely something for further seasons to explore. Like, are there other infected people?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we talked last, my one of my biggest complaints um, about this whole thing was the the constant age shaming of our protagonist. I was like,
Old
oh
dude.
man, oh dude, yeah, and he's I forget what he is, but he's our age basically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. He's like 30, 35 or something. I don't know.
so they act like I think I've seen a screenshot of that going around too. Of people like have from Pokemon or something, and they're talking to someone that's 30 and they look like they're crippled, you know. Um, so I'm just like I feel personally attacked throughout this entire show. It's like I'm at
Mhm.
the gym all the time with people, half my age. It's fine. Like, so I don't know this whole blame your age for Kafka here, and being
Right.
behind or flunking all the tests. I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, I think it's turned into something more endearing now and something like
yeah.
I totally get like early on when everybody was like, "Oh, dude," it's like he's not that old. Shut up.
Mhm.
But now, of course, it's like cute that everybody is like, "We love you, old dude."
Yep.
So, like, I definitely think it's not like any knock on his abilities now, but yeah, in the early parts, it was getting a little tired.
I mean, I get it. Like if you're comparing this to the military, you don't generally enlist in the military in your 30s or something. It's not like the first thing you do unless it's, you know, I don't know what the cutoff even is. I suppose it depends on wartime or not, or how desperate or whatever. But yeah. Anyways, minor quibble, minor quibble. Um, I really didn't. What getting into this, I wasn't super jazzed for another shonen, but this if this if it hit a nice balance. Firstly, though I'm not necessarily a giant fan of them reaching out to like English pop groups and stuff for their opening videos and stuff. The opening is very cool, um,
It
to
is.
this show, gets you excited for it, and then it strikes a fun tonal balance. I think and manages that well. Like a lot of shows have a difficulty with, you know, being serious and then going completely zany in a moment that kind of takes you out of it, or going chibi with their character designs quickly. Demon Slayer does this a lot or whatever,
Sure.
and then back to serious. I think this was a good kind of tone, so it made the show fun to watch. But then when stakes got higher, you were in them.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I mean, I thought on the whole, like it was more serious. I mean, obviously, like the early stuff is really like, rooted in like the humor of cleaning up a kaiju and, but that's like 2 episodes and then we're, getting more serious immediately. And I think it balanced that transition well from like super humor to like, okay, let's leave most of that super humor behind and just have like a drop here or there of just like lighter, but not, you know, gross
yeah,
humor or like, I don't know, just like common denominator, like low hanging fruit, just like obvious jokes. Like it was really just more about like lightening a moment than making like, a body
sure.
function joke or something like the very first couple of episodes.
You, how many kind of trope things can you spot in this? Because just when I think about it, anime has, especially shonen anime, has a ton of tropes, ton of like common things that you see in all of them, and that's fine. They use them because they work, but I don't see as many common things with this. Um, you know, we didn't. I don't know. We didn't get. We don't have like a big pervert character. or we
Mm,
didn't
sure.
get like the normal sort of leveling up kind of thing was not really there. We don't
Mhm.
have, I don't know, like pretty quickly all the teammates become real allies. We have the aggressive one and the smart one or whatever, that kind of thing, but it's just varying personalities. It's not, it doesn't feel like they're using a blueprint for this show as much as some other things might.
Mhm.
And it left me
Yeah.
surprised at things, like, oh, wow, that's going to happen now or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a group of characters that you can kind of point to a stronger trait that they have. Like if you had to boil them down to like a singular characteristic, like some of them have something more than others. But I think that they're complex enough that it feels less like stereotype. It feels less tropey. Like I'm thinking
Yeah,
of like his friend, his younger friend. I can't remember his name right now.
sure, with the white
The
hair.
lighter hair. Yeah, for sure. That he's just like totally just like loyal, got your back no matter what. And he's just like, I'm gonna fight with you and keep your secret. Um, which, is kind of like kind of defining of his character, but also like he works well with others. He's like, I know my limits, I know what I can do, I know what others can do. Like, you know,
Yeah,
he's now not paired with Kafka in fighting situations. He's paired with other people and does really well with them. So I think that's the mark of like really great shonen, when you can like put characters out of like what you would think their pairings should be, and they just like play well with everybody.
yeah,
Like their characters work well dynamically in a scene together.
yep, yeah. No, I mean, like, I'm looking at some character lists here. Kikoro, blonde pigtails, are kind of, we're introduced to her and she's really antagonistic and this is my spot, and immediately she's that kind of character that's, I'm the daughter, don't you know who I am, kind of thing. But
Mhm.
pretty quickly we realize she has more depth, she can back up her boasting, and she gets to caring for Kafka and is a genuine person. So they could have played on that sort of tropey image for a long time, and
Yep.
they didn't. They moved on from that, and so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That where I like a lot of the characters in here, whereas some in other shows they might have like felt one dimensional and this stop development, or we don't get to know much about them, so they're just kind of annoying most of the time. Whatever. I think that there's kind of a good cast and crew. Even we get it then with her father. We're kind of set up to believe that he is this one way, really cold, calculating, doesn't listen to anyone, doesn't give a damn. And then he ends up being the one to say, no, we're not gonna chop him up, make him into a weapon, whatever. That's
Right.
pretty unsurprising.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with vice captain, I was kind of thinking of him like he and the captain are both kind of like vaguely ace characters, like this superhuman, like super powerful. Um, I mean, Kikuru is a little bit, but they're like really just like legendary.
Hmm.
But I think it was really a smart move to kind of like show us more of the vice captain's backstory, to say like, you know, actually nobody thinks of him outside of this squad that way, because like
Yeah,
sword fighting and knife play is considered like too old school and not effective enough, and
right.
everybody else is like, you're actually kind of super weak because you can't do guns. Um so it's a real like turn on its head from like the way this group of recruits sees him, and then we realize like, nope, that's unique to this squadron.
Yeah, yeah.
So it
No,
like
that's a
really
good
kind of
point.
undercuts that, that like trope or that stereotype where it's like kind of, but like it's kind of like being the strongest with a weak thing.
Yeah,
Overall people don't see you as like untouchable. So
yeah.
I like that.
And see, this show doesn't waste time with that. Like in the first season, we get a lot of things, including talk about the vice captain, and he could have been in other shows something that is kind of aloof and a little silly for a long time, but we saw him all of a sudden. We saw him do the turn. You know, his eyes
Mhm.
gleam and he takes out the knives and he's like, oh, he means business now. That could have been a thing that in other animes would be in season 3. We'd finally see that. And
Right.
so I just like that. To me, it suggests there's a lot of meaty story to tell and like things to
Mhm.
happen that they aren't wasting time with that kind of thing. Um,
Right.
so,
Yeah,
um,
people can be multi-dimensional earlier, and I like that.
yeah,
So it really feels like season 1 got serious quickly, but not in a too heavy way.
yep, yep. So I have to talk about my one actual biggest problem. So
Okay.
I've been telling people recently, kind of just throwing it out there, see what people think. I'm saying, and I'll put this to you now too. So since becoming a parent, and this seems to be the thing, I have a um like I found that my tastes have shifted potentially a lot when it comes to media that I'm
Okay.
interested in.
Mhm.
And I don't know what this is exactly, but I go back to movies that I should absolutely love. I'm like, you know, okay.
Mhm.
And I start trying to read different things that I would think I would like, and it's like, nah, it's not really, you know, I'm either picking it apart or it's not holding my interest or whatever it is. And on the one hand, it's like, well, maybe there's things that I've seen enough. I just don't really need to see him again until I'm an old man, you know, or I don't know, taste just changing, whatever. Part of that concern was like with the shonen and stuff like that, me being more critical of a lot of them. I was surprised that this show I just flat out liked. Like they just it
Mm,
didn't have a lot of the things that would bother me, particularly
sure.
exposition stuff. You know, and
Mhm.
shows that I want to love so much, like Jujutsu Kaisen, where you got to explain to me in ridiculous dialogue constantly what is going on or how this is happening.
Mhm.
The show doesn't have that so far, and
Yeah.
it was refreshing. Like it was paced nicely, people behaved in a logical manner. It
Mhm.
just it just showcased to me that like maybe I'm not crazy in the way that I'm like viewing some of this stuff, and that we deserve better because I thought this show handled it well. So I guess that's my statement on the kind of show overall, and then my to you, like, have you found your taste changing?
Um, yes, and not in a just like, I am now like also a champion of Bluey kind of way, because I am, but
Sure.
also like, for my own viewing and my own media consumption. Yeah, it does like I think there was a period where I was feeling like a hard embrace of nostalgia and like things that I used to like, and wanting to go back and like kind of re engage with that. And I think that's, really in the early moments of both of our kids and just sort of being on unfamiliar ground and unfamiliar territory and kind of wanting that like very comforting, like
Right.
safe familiarity. And now I'm kind of past that. I do there was a time when I could just like put on a show in the background and like have it be like, I'm just gonna like nicely rewatch this, and I'm bored with that now. I
Sure.
notice my brain is like, yeah, we're not enjoying this. It's too campy. It's too like tropey. It's too stereotypical. It's too
Hmm.
formulaic, for lack of a better word. Even though I just threw 4 different synonyms out there. Um, just like undercutting my own talking.
Redundant.
Oh my god. But yeah, no, I totally get that. I do like feel this distance now from and this like boredom with anything that feels too too reliant on things like that. Too much exposition, too much formula, too much, nostalgia, too much, um, just like, again, like low hanging fruit, easy comedy, just like too much
Sure.
broad appeal. It's like you're not doing anything skillful there. You can have
Right.
that once in a while because, yeah, like everybody finds some general things funny, or general things like moving or touching. But yeah, I am to the point now where that's no longer getting me.
Sure. Okay.
I think the only thing I did I it popped on TV and I couldn't not re-engage with it was Fellowship of the Ring. I was just like, oh
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like
Well,
get it.
look, there,
That's
and
high quality stuff though. Like
yeah,
that's not like, I don't know. There was a point in time where I was watching like Fuller House
okay, yeah.
when Everett was little, and I was just like, "Oh, like Full House, I used to watch
Hmm.
that," and like I watched it and like genuinely enjoyed it, and then like kind of watched through it again and was like, "Ooh," like
Right.
there was a lot of like low. I don't know. I can't keep saying the same thing, but like a lot of just like easy reach humor.
Hmm.
Then it was a little
You know,
too like,
the
yeah,
example I want to throw out there, it's not anime, but it's what, another
sure.
one of the things that concerns me is like with James Bond stuff. I watched recently.
Okay.
Um, well, Skyfall, yes, but more,
I just
more,
remember you saying like you're just
yeah,
kind of thrown off by, not loving it as much. Not that it was
yeah,
bad, but it was just like not as
yeah.
amazing.
And I watched the second half of it, and I was engrossed, and yes, but it was not the same. It was not the same kind of feeling. And so I thought, well, maybe it's just a time thing. So I watched um, The Man with the Golden Gun and
Mm,
Tomorrow Never Dies. Now, The Man with the Golden Gun, I've never liked. I always thought that is not a very good movie. I barely watch it in one piece or whatever. I watched that and I was like, I had a lot of fun with that. I had a lot of fun with The Man with the Golden Gun. It was entertaining. And then I watched Tomorrow Never Dies, which I love. There is so much to love about that movie. But I wasn't like jumping on my seat after watching that. And I was like, maybe it's just because I've seen it too many times, but I haven't seen it in years. So I was
mhm.
expecting a better reaction from it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this thing finally. So that was sort of the wake up call, whereas all this stuff is like maybe my tastes have just changed. That was the realization of it, and it has maybe happened over the last, you know, a year, 18 months, whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I think that that's certainly something that happens like when you enter a very very different stage of your life. I mean, you just like
right.
get things that you didn't get before. There's just like a level of understanding or like, I mean, you just like start to identify with different people as characters. Like you do identify sometimes with crotchety adults because like, God damn, like you're tired, man. I get it. Like shit's happening and you're just like, I want to sleep. Like go away. I want to sit down and relax and read a book or watch a movie. And now I got like stuff happening. Damn kids. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you,
think.
you do like fall into some of that for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I think a lot of that is my like Ashley doesn't have as much of a problem because the thing she likes to do is play video games. That's so when she has the time, that's what she does for the most part. For me, it's like I have so many things, and so I have to like pick, and I can't waste any time with something that's mediocre or subpar. Like I
Sure.
can't just throw it out next. I gotta move on because
Sure.
never gonna get all of it done. So
True, and also like that can weigh on you. I know that there's sometimes that, I've been racing to finish something for the podcast, because I have budgeted the
yeah,
time and then I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to finish this." And that sense of like I just have to get through it really does mess with like the enjoyment.
yeah.
And so I've been a lot more purposeful and planful about like I am going to be finishing the things that we want to watch in advance. and
Sure.
just sort of getting over any like mental block about, sometimes I feel resistant to something because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. Like when we were doing a lot of our Daisy chain of movies,
Yeah. Right.
sometimes I would just like sit down and be like, I've never seen it. What if I hate it? Like I don't know. I don't have to start it right now. I'll wait till
Right.
tomorrow.
Yep.
And now I'm just like, I should just get over that because, like, I don't know. Who knows?
Hmm.
Who cares? Like, if I start it and hate it, then now it's a hate watch. I don't know. Like, but I'll watch it. I'll learn something, and I'll take something away that I should
Yep.
stay away from this kind of stuff in the future, or maybe I love it and I should find
Yep.
more. So yeah,
There's a
so I
bet.
think I think the sense of like needing it to be valuable and needing it to be like, or being on like a time constraint can really just mess with like how you approach it and therefore like how you enjoy it.
That's true. I mean, like, it is a balance because
Mhm.
you don't want to you want to take sure bets if possible, but like we have my horror group that I'm a part of, and so like again, every once a month we watch a horror movie that whatever people vote on. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's not always my pick, what I voted for. And there are movies that we've watched that I would not have chosen ever. And
Mhm.
sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. But I
Mhm.
still always am happy that I sat down and took that one night a month to do it because it's for the fun of the chat. If nothing else, you chat back and forth
Mhm.
about whatever's going on. So
Exactly.
it's that kind of thing. Like you watch a movie with someone else. If it's like, oh, this is kind of a stinker, well, we're gonna watch it and we can kind of make fun of it or whatever. There's
Mhm.
something there, and it just keeps me because I don't want to get as much as like you know old things comforting. I don't want to get where a lot of people do that. They never want to look for new music. They never,
Mhm.
it's like they have their certain bands or their one style music, and that's the rest of their life then. And
Mhm.
that's a lot of people, but I'd rather not be that if possible. I'd
Mhm.
rather like still have to try new things sometimes. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I think that is one of the anxieties that these streaming, platforms have created with their like fire hose of content. It's like there's so much
Yeah.
out there, how do I pick what's valuable, what's good, what I'm going to enjoy because there's so much more I haven't seen yet.
Yep.
And I get that way sometimes when I like read a book and I'm like, "Oh my god, there's so many books out there." Like, I have to read
Yeah.
something that's like good and valuable and not like just, crap wasting my time.
Right.
She says after having read the entire Twilight series. I'm
Yeah, but
sorry.
that was a long
I
time
I
ago.
I
That was a
couldn't
long
I
time
couldn't
ago.
resist the cheap shot. It was a
Yeah.
long time ago. But yeah, that's just like one of the anxieties that's just like out there that we're kind of like everybody's to an extent having to deal with.
Mhm.
Like there's so much, you'll never watch it all. Like I have to watch what's good.
And it's so
But
silly, really,
everything can be, yeah, everything can be
Mhm.
an experience and like it's not life or death if you watch a show that's like kind of crappy and you quit after a couple episodes because you're like,
Yeah.
no, not
Yep.
for me. You just have to like be willing to find the line. Like where I pushed through and read the entire Twilight series, even though I genuinely knew I hated it and didn't need to finish it. It was like that thing that was like, I can't not finish something.
Okay.
And now
Mhm.
and that used to be a point of pride. And now I've really let that go because I'm like, no,
Yep.
I don't need to. Who cares? No one's
Yeah.
like handing me a ribbon at the end for
Yep.
finishing something I hate. So
Yeah, what if they gamified it and they made achievements for reading so far and certain completing the book and all that sort of thing?
no,
Yeah.
that was like accelerated reader in that's
Okay.
like the
Mhm.
backfiring of accelerated reader from elementary school where you got like all the points for like
Mhm.
reading and taking the quizzes and stuff. Oh my god.
Mhm.
That was my jam. That was my jam. Yeah. I remember like taking
Yeah.
the Lord of the Rings quiz and getting like 62 points. I was like, yeah, gonna get enough points to like earn money at the Scholastic Book Fair.
Mhm.
That was life. That was a good life.
Nice. Well, yeah, I took us off topic there. We
All right.
veered, but hopefully some of you can relate. Let us know. Um, I do before, and then, we talk about any final things on season 1 of Kaiju that you want to get to that we haven't yet, if there's anything we've missed. I just
Yeah.
want to say, like, my one real actual complaint is
Sure. I have
the
one
way
too.
that number 8, Kafka, dealt with number 9. So he's the other
Okay.
humanoid kaiju that we come across, and he basically, blindsides him with his strength. Kafka blindsides number 9 with his strength, and he essentially has the chance to finish him off. And that, I guess, is one trope that they couldn't resist, where it's like the delay. Someone needing to Kaufman needed to recognize in the moment the crazy threat that is number 9, and the opportunity he had to take him out, and he didn't. There was, like, I don't remember how it went exactly. There was talking and stuff like that. He was on the ground. It's like, take his core, destroy it. Like, it's one of those things. Like, you'd see it in Dragon Ball Z a million times. Vegeta blah, 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 throws a whole bunch of energy, beams into a cloud, makes a cloud of dust. Ha! I've got him. And then the dust clears, and he's, clear. What It's
Right.
that kind of thing. It's like, no, you have to end the threat now. That was the one thing that drove me insane.
Hmm. Yeah, I get that. I also don't remember exactly what happened and if it was like I've got to go save somebody. I've got to make the choice between like going to save somebody
That
and
would be
finishing off
better.
number 9.
I don't think so.
Um, I mean, if it was, that would at least speak to like at the end where Mina's testifying, like we shouldn't kill number Kaiju heart, and he's always, he's like the most human person I
Right.
know. So that would be nice if that was the case. I'm not sure that I remember that scenario that closely to say that is. So if not, like that is also in general something I hate too, where like it's like the horror movie thing where you double tap. Like, come on,
Yes.
gotta,
Yes.
you gotta finish
Yeah.
somebody
Oh, I
because
got him. And then you
he's
turn
always
around, he gets up.
coming right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, you like slowly walk away after like, placing a knife in his gut and it's like, no, no, they're fine. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Um so yeah, so I completely agree about that. Like that is very frustrating. My other kind of like complaint is and I'm, hoping it's a complaint that's just like in the future TBD to be addressed, is Captain Mina. She's a very like central but also shadowy figure in this
Hmm.
season. She's like the entire reason, Kafka's like going into this, like, he wants to fight by her side, and
Yeah.
she acknowledges like their past together, which is also kind of like piecemeal and murky, like what exactly happened in this like kaiju attack from long ago. But then like we don't know how like she went from this like very sad little girl of Kafka's past
Childhood.
to
Yeah.
like, yeah, to like, hey, I'm like the most powerful being ever, thanks. And it feels like a little like I really need some like logical gap filling here
Okay.
because it's just like a total personality switch. She was obviously like as a kid very emotional, and obviously, you grow up, your personality shifts, you change, you get more grounded, you get, a little bit more reasoned and in control of your emotions, but they're just two such different people that sometimes I did really have a hard time like kind of code switching between like the younger flashbacks and like the current iterations of those two
Sure.
people. Kafka to me is himself grown up, and she is completely different. So I just need like how
Yeah.
we made the pivot.
Hmm.
And I need it to be
Yeah.
good. I don't need it to be like some like, I don't know, stereotypical thing. I need like a really good
Sure.
backstory.
Yeah. Some sort of extra trauma, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I have to imagine we'll see that in one shape or another. Maybe it's just a thing of, you know, just you know, natural ability that she syncs so well with the suit or whatever. but
Right.
you're looking for more. I mean, you know,
I'm
what
looking
if
for
it's
more of like the personality. Like, sure, like we've
okay?
gotten surprised. We've got,
Yeah,
I mean, yes, a little bit too about like her ability. And kind of, if it's like a natural thing, if this is like, we
yeah,
worked at it, is there something different about her? Sure, I would love to know that. But also I would just love to know like, how she got from A to B to X to captain.
yeah. Right. Okay. I have to imagine that's coming. I hope it does.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Anything else? Anything we missed?
Um, not really. The other one thing I wanted to say is something I really liked about the show. Um, I talked about how it opened very cleverly with, being different. Our hero is a ground cleanup crew guy for all the kaiju. I really liked that that wasn't just like leaned on for humor. It eventually became valuable because he's like, I've cleaned up,
Hmm.
cut them all open, and like I know all these things, and that's how I can contribute to the team. I thought that that's just like such great writing when you can take something that's initially just like humor but ends up like in a twist being very useful. It's like, yeah, you didn't just do that gratuitously. You like did it for a purpose and a really great one. So kudos on that. I
Yeah.
really like that.
Yeah. It's a good point.
I mean,
Um.
they're starting out like making poop jokes and like, it's like, oh man, like this is, it's just like silliness. And then it turns out like, hey, it's like not so silly. It's actually really useful. And maybe they're going to be, you know, now our defense force might be consulting with these like cleanup crews to be like, hey, what do you know? Like you might be a really valuable source of information.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit of they do that sort of thing in My Hero Academia, where Midoriya is he in that show, for people that have not seen it, he doesn't have an ability. I think they call it a quirk in there,
Yeah.
and he so but what he does is that he has passion for the heroes and all this stuff, and so he keeps a journal, a notebook on like everybody's tactics and powers and weaknesses, potentially all this sort of thing. And so when he's going through and trying to make a difference, those sort of analysi of these different heroes and stuff,
Analyses.
yeah, actually makes a
Mhm.
meaningful difference. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Um, the ending song, I am not a huge fan of, but it gets stuck in my head. So
Mhm.
this,
It's cute. It is rather at odds with the rest of the show and is also featuring a very, very side character.
mm,
Like
sure,
this the technician. She's like the first one who
yeah,
pops up in that and it's like, okay.
but I
Um,
like that she's
didn't
using
really
like an old
explanation there.
'90s iMac. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, I like the concept art and like, it's a
mhm.
cute little like ending story. It's just yeah, it just doesn't quite fit with the rest. So I'm wondering if there's gonna be something maybe in the future that's gonna make that make sense, or if it's just I don't know, we're just gonna end with a little smile.
Yeah. hmm hmm Cool. Okay, well, that's Kaiju number 8, season 1. I don't know when season 2 is happening. Um,
Season
I
2 or season 1B.
You think so? Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that'll be that
I
way.
don't know. It's like it's hard to tell if like the new trend is like seasons are like, 12, 13 episodes or if it's like split seasons
Yeah.
technically.
Yep. Yeah. Well, if it's split seasons, we should be getting it sooner than we might expect. If it's season 2, maybe
Wow.
early 2026. Um, we'll have plenty of things to watch in the meantime. I know next year. I think next year is going to be a big year for different shows. We are supposed to be getting this year the Chainsaw Man movie. I don't know when that's happening yet, but sometime this year. So
Mhm.
yeah, and then there's always new stuff that a person doesn't realize was coming. I didn't know this anime was coming, and that I would like it until basically it was upon us. So yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, yeah. I had not heard anything about it, hadn't touched the manga, came out of the blue, but yeah, go watch it. It's excellent. The season is well done, well paced, well written.
Yep. Nice. Okay, well, everybody make sure you like, share, subscribe in all the applicable places. Follow us, Popcast on the Rocks. You just search that on your favorite podcast directory, and you'll find us, Popcast on the Rocks. You'll get our regular show, Popcast on the Rocks, and you'll get this one, Ohio Anime, on there. And then we separate things on YouTube. On YouTube, if you want just a regular kind of catch-all pop culture show, that's Popcast on the Rocks. And if you want specifically the anime one, that's Ohio Anime. And then we go live. You want to catch these live streams, it's easiest to follow us on YouTube or Twitch at Popcast on the Rocks. Our X Twitter account really is not very active. That's my fault. So maybe that will change someday. But for the meantime, those are the places you can find us. We should check out Killing the Flower. They wrote our theme song for the main show, and they're on music streaming services. Mike is TrackMouse34 or track_mouse on Instagram, and it's racing season. He's out there now and stuff like that. He got a little shout out the other week when he was racing because he's got his car has been completely reworked and everything. So if you want to see some fun videos while he's out on the track, there's going to be content coming your way that way. And then Scoop Eats, check him out, JP's friend there. I'm not sure what he's up to recently. He's been taking the eating stuff pretty seriously. So he was talking about meeting up or talking with someone that's a professional eater and getting advice and stuff like that. So yeah,
Next level.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, no outro on this. We just end it. So Andrea, thanks for making this work, and we'll see everybody on Wednesday for House of the Dragon.
Hot D.
Hot tea.
Couldn't resist
Talk
it.
later.